Before I start, I just want to warn you guys that if you wanted an unbiased opinion on Resident Evil Deadly Silence, you've come to the wrong place. This is one of my favorite Nintendo DS games, one that I've completed a dozen times both on the Japanese and North American version. There are a few flaws in Deadly Silence that I simply must mention right from the start. You see, Resident Evil never appealed to everyone. In order to maximize the survival feel of the game, Resident Evil uses some mechanics that demands practice and tenacity. The game's tank-like controls and fixed camera angles play an important role in achieving this goal. Without these, it would be far too easy to manipulate your way into the mansion, and quite frankly, it wouldn't be as scary. The same can be said about the limited inventory space. Honestly, you won't see me complaining here. I believe that all of Resident Evil's mechanics were structured for a reason, and without them, the game just wouldn't be that good. The game still uses the same system it did when it originally came out on the PlayStation. Because of that, if you had a problem with Resident Evil back then, you'll feel the same way today. The biggest problem Capcom failed to recognize is that Resident Evil was originally developed as a console game. Porting a console game over to a portable often demands a few changes here and there. In order to be fully playable on the go, a portable game must have a good saving system in place. Unfortunately, Capcom chose to keep the original saving system intact. This means that not only will you have to find specific rooms in order to save your progress, but you'll also have to use an ink ribbon to execute the task. Since handheld games are often played in short periods of times, this system proves to be very tedious on the player who usually plays his DS on the way to school or work or on the bus. Wasting an ink ribbon to save 5 minutes of progress is not an attractive option for most. Does this make the game unplayable? Not at all, but it is an issue that could have been easily fixed simply by adding a quick save feature. It must be said that you'll rarely run out of ink ribbons, but this system places an unnecessary obstacle in an otherwise excellent DS offering. Those who are willing to live with this issue, rest assured, you're in for one heck of a ride. If you never liked the series before, this game won't do much to change your opinion. In many ways, this is still the same old Resident Evil we played back on the PlayStation. However, this game wasn't made to bring in new fans. It was created as a final throwback to the original. If Resident Evil holds a special place in your heart, then there's no going back now. This game will remain in your Nintendo DS for a long time to come. Included in Resident Evil DS are two different ways to play the main adventure. Classic mode is more or less a straight port of the original. Capcom made a few welcome changes, however. For starters, the original's loading issues have been fixed. The famous door opening animations are still here, but they can be skipped by simply pressing the A button. A map of the area is now always viewable on the top screen. Anybody that played any of the Castlevania DS games will know how much helpful a second screen is for a game that uses a map system. It's way easier to explore an area when you have a map in front of you at all times. Finally, the quick turn option is now available and the knife has been linked to the L button. Besides these changes, the classic mode is loyal to the PS1 Classic. These 4 additions obviously improve this version. While the classic version is nice and all, the real reason to buy this game is for the Rebirth mode. Think of Remake and you'll have a pretty good idea of what to expect here. Although it doesn't boast as many changes as the GameCube remake did a few years ago, veterans will find quite a few surprises along the way. On the difficulty side, Capcom did some tweaking with the enemies to present a greater challenge. You will now run into stronger and quicker zombies, and previously deserted rooms might now have a small surprise in store. Also, some species will show themselves earlier than you'd think. Capcom also changed a few areas. Some roofs have been redesigned to look closer to the GameCube build. The best new additions found in Rebirth, however, are those that take advantage of the DS capabilities. You will find a variety of puzzles scattered throughout Deadly Silence, and all of those are unique DS features in one way or another. Whether you use the stylus to throw darts or use the mic to blow at candles, these puzzles make the game more interactive. The game even throws a few mathematical puzzles at you that might just explain why DS brain games are so popular in Japan. Solving these with the stylus proves to be a lot of fun. Also new to Rebirth are the Stylus Fights. These sequences transfer occasionally throughout the game when the player enters a room. The game automatically switches to a person view and the player will have to use the stylus to knife fight the enemy. Virtually any stabbing movement can be executed. There is quite a bit of strategy involved here as some enemies can be killed instantly with a single strike of the knife, if you wait for the right moment. Also, some attacks will only be repelled with a specific directional swipe. The liberties you can exploit in knife fights are near boundless. Deadly Silence definitely stands as one of the DS most replay-friendly titles. There are different ways to play the main adventure and each one can be played with 2 different characters. Both characters offer a different quest and therefore players will want to experience both, even after beating the game. Once you do complete the main quest, the game throws an addictive minigame at you, comprised entirely of Stylus Fights. Resident Evil fans will never leave home without this title. Another aspect of this game that really surprised me back in the day was its local multiplayer mode. It's kind of similar to what was found in Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS, where you need to basically play a single mission with a player and beat enemies and find items to move on. And at the end of the mission you get rankings and whoever won something gets more points and stuff like that. It's surprisingly addicting even though it's a pretty simple gameplay. You will need both a copy of the game however, but it's very well worth it if you're a big Resident Evil fan. Resident Evil Deadly Silence is not only one of the better Nintendo DS games, it's one of the best portable games ever released. Like the recent Hyrule Warriors, this is how you reward fans when you make a fan service video game. I can't stress this enough. If you've never played the DS version, hunt it down at all costs. It's worth every penny. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll enjoy our Halloween special.